I was training myself to stay in my comfort zone and not try anything at all. All this was because I was living inside my head. I was making all these thoughts in my head as my guide, and these thoughts were almost always not true at all. You might be doing the same thing, living inside your head, believing all those thoughts that you have about yourself to be true and sabotaging yourself. Maybe thoughts like, I don't deserve this, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, or something along these lines. Those are just thoughts and not the truth. But the problem with these thoughts is that they come and go often, and sometimes they don't go away if we don't take any action. It is just like those weeds in our gardens. They don't need any effort to grow, but if you don't give them attention, they grow so much that they interfere with the actual useful plants that we have in our gardens. The same thing applies to these self sabotaging thoughts that we have. They may not look like they are hurting us in any way, they are causing us any trouble. They're just sitting there, but in fact, they are occupying the space that is intended for all the good thoughts, the positive thoughts, the facts, and all that you are capable of, and to help you reach that path of success. It might be because there was something in the past that laid the seeds for these thoughts, a bad relationship that you have been in, a challenge that you have faced which you could not overcome, and all these things left behind these thoughts as a gift for you. And now you're living with those thoughts, thinking that they are true or believing all those thoughts. But what exactly are these thoughts intended for? What are they trying to tell us? What are they trying to hint us about? They're just giving you a hint that it is time to let go of that situation or that hurt that you have been holding on to for so long. It's time to change yourself, because if you are holding on to all those thoughts, you live those experiences, those situations again and again in your head, and you are in that trap which you can never escape and live out of your head in the real world. Psychologist Linda Sapadin says that talking to yourself helps you clarify your thoughts, tend to what's important, and form up the decisions that you are contemplating. The most important thing I found helpful is to recognize that I have these thoughts. Acknowledging those thoughts, acknowledging that I have these kind of thoughts which keep popping up from time to time, making me feel that I'm worthless or I can't achieve something, is a good start. And when I started confronting these thoughts, just like I would confront anyone else, maybe a friend, if my head or my thought was saying that, do you think you can really do this? I would reply, I don't know, but I'm going to try it. I'll only know if I tried. How would I know without even trying? That is the reply I give to these kind of thoughts. And having this inner dialogue, confronting my self sabotaging thoughts, help me to tame those thoughts which are not real or which were trying to bring me down. And one way of confronting your thoughts is to write them down. Whenever they come, and read them sometime later, and maybe just set aside some time every day to read those thoughts before you go to bed. And sometimes you might immediately laugh at those thoughts and wonder, why did I think like this? But some other thoughts need to be pursued a little bit more. And how you pursue them is ask yourself questions like, oh, I have this kind of thought. So, is there any proof that is supporting that this thought is true? And also ask yourself, is there any proof which is against this thought? So, for example, if I thought I was a failure, I would write down the thought, ask myself, where is the proof for it? I will definitely find some situations which I felt like I was failing, and I will also write down situations where I have surpassed my expectations. I have excelled, or I have definitely won. All those things which made me feel good, which made me feel that I was successful, all those things I would write down on the other end. And believe me, almost always the positive situations do outweigh the negative ones. And now I don't look at that thought as if it were true. And this is just one way of getting out of your head and getting real. And our brain has a thing for negativity. It is more inclined to look at negative things and magnify those negative things about us or even about other people. This is called the negativity bias, and we all have a tendency to magnify what we have done wrong and don't give ourselves much credit for whether if we do something right or if we have done something great. We do the same thing with others as well. And even though someone has done everything right, one mistake is all it takes for us to forget all the good that they have done for us. We treat ourselves pretty much the same way. So when I feel these thoughts popping up, when I feel that I'm being negative about myself, I try and remind myself of all the things that I have done right. I give myself credit for even a small thing that I have done right that day. Whether it is just keeping my room clean or getting to work on time or completing a work on time. I make sure to remind myself that I'm making progress, I'm doing the right things, and that is all that is needed. I don't have to be perfect, but if I'm making progress, which is good, that is all that matters. And thinking along these lines can help you remind you that you are not a failure, you're not worthless. It will remind you of your abilities. And imagine your parents or your friends are saying to you, "You can't do this, it is not your cup of tea." We often become angry, or even out of ego or pride, we say that, "Why can't I do it? I will prove it to you." We retaliate or contradict their thoughts. We try and contradict their statements. So every time you have these negative thoughts or the self sabotaging thoughts that you usually have, immediately try and say the opposite thing. Contradict your thoughts. So if your thought is like, maybe I can't do this, maybe I'm not made for it, try saying that maybe you can. How do I know I can't? Maybe I'll start trying. You slowly make your mind tune into the fact that these thoughts might not be true after all. And when you learn something new every day for 30 minutes, it makes you feel good about yourself. It boosts your self esteem and your confidence and makes you realize that you are capable of new things. You are capable of more than you think. Even if it's just one new word that you learn every day, it makes a huge difference to how you look at yourself. And it helps you to reframe your mind to deviate from those thoughts that you're having. And one other thing which always helps me is when we try and rate our problems from 1 to 10, all of our problems appear to be genuine problems, and we think that everything needs full attention. But we all have that one big problem that we have faced in our life. We thought we could never get out of, but we did. We made it out of it. So next time you try and rate your problems, try and compare this big worst problem to the problem that you're facing right now. You'll see how your ratings for those thoughts will change immediately when you compare it with that one big problem that you have faced. And that is how I make sure that whatever I'm thinking about myself is not the worst thing that can happen to me. And doing this can give you perspective and to understand what is really going on in your life. And it reduces the impact of the negative experience that you're having right now. But sometimes your problem might genuinely be a 10, and that's okay. You just have to sit down, take a deep breath, and you have to deal with that problem. You have to accept it and deal with it. And putting your thoughts on paper is one way of slowing down and reducing the impact of that negative thoughts that we are having, the anxiety and the stress and the worry that comes with these self sabotaging thoughts. When we write them down, it helps us to create a distance, a space between us and our thoughts, and it helps us to see things objectively before getting into any conclusions about ourselves. And if we keep them only in our heads, it will definitely make us not assess the situation properly. If your friend had a similar thought and he's expressing it to you and they're showing concern and saying repeatedly that he is worthless or he's a failure or he's a loser, how would you react? Will you tell him that it is true, I knew that already, or will you try to reason with them why you think that they're thinking in a wrong way? Of course, you'll help them understand that their thoughts are not true, right? So do the same thing with yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat a friend you care about. Show the same love, and respect and concern and care and compassion that you show to others. Be more compassionate, more understanding, and more patient with your own self. And this will help you with all those self sabotaging thoughts, and it will help you reframe your mind and understand yourself even better. And it will help you understand that these thoughts are just thoughts and not the truth after all. And sometimes we might feel overwhelmed with all the worries, problems, and everything in our life. And detachment might be the answer to most of our problems. Watch this video here on detachment. I'll see you in this video right here. Until then, you take care.